I want to talk a little bit about gender presentation. And I think there's been a lot of progress in that people feel as though they can express their gender in more varied ways. So they don't feel quite as much in the man box and the female box um, that they did maybe 40, 50 years ago. There's more options for people in terms of how they want to present themselves. Um, I think that there are, uh, some areas where it's definitely requires more courage, and there's some areas where there's a little bit more, it's become kind of more normative for women to be express strength, to see themselves as competent and powerful and take on male-coded jobs and tasks, and for men to do more caregiving, and move into, we see more more men working in daycare, working as nurses, doing more of those female-coded jobs. I've been looking at some of the recent research on these sort of what they call the softer masculinities, and which would be sort of like men who are willing to maybe do more cooking. They are more vulnerable in terms of expressing emotion, and maybe they don't feel like they have to portray themselves as sort of hyper masculine. And we see a lot of that in urban areas where men and women are kind of feeling a little freer to perform their gender in a way that they choose. The research is really interesting because even the men are quite conscious that they are, they want this freedom. They want especially to be able to express their emotions and to be more openly vulnerable. They still want to hold on to some of the traits or characteristics that consolidate their power within the family system. So with men who are performing the softer masculinity, they may not think it's okay to be physically violent, but they still think it's okay to be verbally aggressive or to control conversations or maybe posture aggressively or in a dominant way with their bodies. They might be willing to take on some of the female-coded tasks, but they want the option of being able to choose what those tasks are. So they might like to do the cooking, but they may not care to do the washing up. They might want to spend some time like putting children to bed or taking them to soccer practice, but they don't necessarily want to sit down and do the homework with the kids. So it feels a little bit like cherry picking. And I think women enter into relationships with men with these sort of presentation of softer masculinities, assuming that, especially because a lot of these men actually are very explicit that they want egalitarian relationships, they want to be seen as equal partners, but it does not appear as if they are actually boots on the ground willing to be equal partners and to step into those spaces with all of the female-coded work, including the emotional labor, the cognitive labor, and a lot of the domestic tasks are still disproportionately falling on women. So it doesn't appear as though this, you know, um, change in gender presentation is really leading to egalitarian relationships. And, we're just beginning to understand why that is.